Hey, testing one.
We will start in 1 minute, so please take your seats. عشان بعدين الأجندة. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for each and every one of you for being here with us today. We are very pleased to be able to welcome those of you who have been with us since yesterday. Before we get started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of you who generously helped us make this event come together to become a success. So we will start with Mr. Abdulaziz Al Abdussalam, the CEO of United Finance.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me? Just to make a statement, slight correction. Abdulaziz Al Abdussalam, Chief Transformation Officer and not CEO of United Finance Company. Yeah. But inshallah, we aim and aspire to be like one of some of you here. Yes. First off, we would like to take this opportunity to thank Muscat Stock Exchange. I think this is by far one of the most engaging and insightful events I have ever been here for a while. We've attended yesterday, day one, and it was exceptional. Despite the power cuts, I think most of us experienced it even back home as well. But alhamdulillah, we're back on our feet right now. And kudos to them as well for making this second day as well happen. We were kind of worried that it's not going to take place again. But ya'atikum al-afiyah, thank you very much, the team. So I'm here with my colleague, Mr. Debraj Maji, who is the head of finance, and myself, Abdulaziz, Chief Transformation Officer of United Finance Company. And it's a pleasure for us to be here presenting to you our company and our journey. Just a quick disclaimer here to comply with MSX standard that we're not soliciting in any way, but this is more just of an overview of our company and where we're heading to and a bit of what we're planning to do. But before we get into the details of the company, and that'll be between myself and my colleague, Mr. Debraj, I want to set some context about what are we going to be presenting today. And this context would give you a view, you'll be able to see the potential that the company has in the industry and within the market as well. So I'll share a bit of a story. Now, these are some of my favorite companies that, and most of you would know some, had turning points in their history, and they've succeeded and excelled where they are in their industry that they're in. Some of them are exceptional, like Apple and Netflix. Some maybe not, but they've all had an interesting turning point in their time. That was through different, in different industries, in different countries, but they all had one thing in common. And Oman is also at its turning point right now. We've been in a transformation, and this is a major transformation for us right now. It started off with the late His Majesty Sultan Qaboos back in the 70s, where that was the first major turning point of Oman, and now we're in the second turning point of Oman with a roadmap, the 2040 vision. And thanks to our colleagues yesterday, we were able to see the efforts that's been put by the Ministry of Finance, OIA, and other government entities, and on the exceptional work that's been done just to achieve a lot of the initiatives that are put out for us 2040. Now, companies industries. Most are tech related, but some of them are not necessarily tech related. But this paints a new landscape of the country just by looking at what's being developed right now. For example, for any of you who know Maze, I'll just touch on this. This was a company that was, they were able to produce the first Omani electric car, and it was launched this year, a fully fledged Omani version of a Tesla, but it's an exceptional looking car. I can assure you that. This tells you that we have potential. as a people and as a country, if we're able to produce something like this. And I would kindly urge you all to go and review a few of these companies that have done a lot of success here in the country. Akid is one of them also as well, Armani-based company and all that. All of these companies were developed in the country for a purpose, and it also had to be relevant. You know, their relevance is important, and that is a key survival thing right now. And one of the CEOs mentioned yesterday, if you're not relevant, then you're just out of the game, right? Now, where do we see United Finance Company? We're also building our new story. We also want to become relevant. We would like to be in that pool as well, yeah? So an overview of the company: it was established in 1997, went public in 2002. We have a market share of 9%, roughly about 9%. We are across the whole country, geographically, and our shareholding comprises mainly of institutional companies, majority of them, and a minority of the public. Our business comprises of two segments, retail and corporate. It's an asset-based approach and a business model. And we're looking at, and I'll touch upon a few things on where we're heading to and how we're going to be different. Like I said, we span around across the whole of Oman with our 8 branches, including our head office. Our board comprises of highly skilled, very diverse individuals from different sectors of the country and also in the region, and a few international players as well. Our chairman, Mohammed Al-Khonji, who's been the chairman for a while of the organization, along with our deputy chairman, His Excellency Hassan Nasib. And here I introduce to you the new management team, starting with our CEO, Mr. Nasser Rashdi, who joined United Finance Company in September last year. And majority of the senior team members are, as you can see, Omanis, and most of them are new as well, including myself. I've joined the organization in March this year. And one of the reasons why I joined the organization is because I believed in the potential of the organization. We're building something new. So some key initiatives that I'd like to touch upon before I hand over the mic to my colleague. We emphasize everything that we do moving forward, ever since our strategy was laid out last year, on becoming relevant, becoming convenient, fast, enabling our people to achieve more and all that. It all revolves around the customer. The customer is the pillar and the center of everything that we do. We hear a lot of buzzwords, customer centricity, that's repeated across different slides, different presentations, but the reality is it's not easy. It's not an easy task to do, and keeping your customers close, knowing what they want, and so on and so forth. But these are the 6 areas that we decided we're going to focus on for the next couple of years as part of our strategy. Number 1 and foremost is our people. All the initiatives that revolve around developing certain skill sets, identifying talent in the organization, keeping our people engaged is key. Your human resources, your people are your key assets, and as long as they're engaged and motivated, you would be able to achieve much more. Then we looked at our processes, what's being offered in the market versus what are we doing today, and how can we evolve and make it better? How can we make it simpler, faster? Do we need customer to sign X amount of documents? Yes or no? Do we need to enable certain technologies? Yes or no? All these have been assessed and looked at, and that's where we started off our journey of transformation as well. Because the core of what we do, a lot of what we do will be based on the technology side that we have. Systems. We're looking at exploring, not revolutionary, but forefront technologies that probably local banks or even international banks are using, or financial institutions are using. That's something that we're aiming to, hopefully very soon, we'll be able to adopt and give us that edge comparing to the market. Financials. Ever since we started off this transformation journey, we made it a point that across the whole organization, people need to know what are we doing and how are we doing. A lot of times we see financials being reported on a quarterly basis and how are we progressing and so on and so forth. And we looked at what gap is there and how we can close that gap. And as a result, today, and we're getting better at it, is that all across the organization, across the board, everybody knows where we are and where we're heading, and keeping that target, our focus on that target, what we need to achieve. And then, of course, key pillar or activity in our business is the collection aspect. How are we doing and how are we strengthening that? And that's a common issue with a lot of financial institutions. There are a lot of technology-enabled technologies that we can adopt to help us improve in this area. And then our branch network. How are we going to be spread out? Does it make sense to be in a certain location? Do we need that location? Can we be on an app? You know, today, we know across in different countries, just a matter of doing everything on your mobile phone. So do we need to invest in branches or not? That's something that we are reassessing as well and re-looking into. So in a nutshell, these are 6 core areas that has been we've decided that these are the things that we're going to be focusing on until the next couple of years and see how we can improve on them. Now, just a few financial highlights of what we've done in the first half of the year. So our net profit so far is close to 700,000. You see balance sheet, net to debtors is 82 million. Equity is about 46 million. Our loan loss coverage is around 80%, more or less. And our ECL is about 300,000 K. I will let, sorry, can you hear me? Because the guys in the back can't. ما تسمعوني؟ اسمح لي. Sorry. واضح? All right. Just to compare what we've done in first half this year versus first half last year, get a look at the numbers. On our net income, we've grown by 18%, and our fees by 15%, our operating income by 17%, ECL provision at 380, which was a huge drop. Net profit, roughly around 700,000. And our return on equity is at almost 3%. This could give you an indication of how we're performing as a company. And now I'll let my colleague, Mr. Debraj, just to get into a bit of details on these numbers. Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to take you through a few numbers. As Mr. Abdulaziz has just concluded that we have grown steadily over the years. So here, I'm just putting up these numbers over on year basis, how we have performed and where we are heading now. If you look at 2020, we are at 7.5 million real. 2021, we are at 7.3, and there's one of the kind of income we have recorded due to changes in accounting basis from accrual to cash basis as per the CBO guidelines. So we have added additional 958,000. Now, 2021 H1, we are at 3.5 million. And now today at 2022 in H1, we are at 3.77. So we can see that we are pretty much on our plan, on our growth strategy to achieve whatever we have, to cross whatever we have achieved in 2021. Now the next element is our net income. Net income is a consist of our finance income and our finance cost. Now, if the income going upwards and we have managed to reduce our average borrowing cost, that will increase our net income. Now we can see 2.4 million, 2.49 was 2021 H1, and we're at 2.94. 2021, we're at 5.3. So we are already halfway through to cross the 2021 numbers. And thank all the banking partners, all the leading bank in Oman, who has supported us during this COVID as well as post-COVID time to maintain our borrowing cost under our budgeted level. Next is our other income. That's mainly consists of the fees income. Lot of restriction, lot of guidelines by the CVO, so we had to minimize lot of documentation charges and all, but still we managed to exceed what was there in the previous year numbers. We have exceeded by 15% compared to last year. Now, operating expenses, as Mr. Aziz was talking about the transformation, the digitalization, and investment in the human resource, we have spent quite a good amount of money in this H1, looking forward to derive the benefits over the years. We are into the phase of going to the next level of digitalization. We can get everything on the app. Our code system is on the way to go to a new level. So we have invested a lot of money on that. That's resulted a slight increase in our operating expenses. And we believe over the years, this benefit will derive and this percentage will go down further. Operating profit, which is a vital and critical one, we can see we have already exceeded the last year numbers by 17%. In 2021, as I was mentioning in our income phase, there was one of a kind income we have recorded that resulted increase in operating income. For the analysis purpose, I will request all of you to eliminate that one of a kind transaction. So our operating profit was 2.6 in 2021, and we have already achieved 1.2. So we are steadily growing crossover 2021 numbers by this year end. Net profit, I'm not talking about the absolute percentage numbers. We are at 41,000 last year, and now today we are close to 700,000 that we reported in H1 profit. Now, in the balance sheet, I'd like to draw your attention on one line for our installment finance debtors. If you see in 2021 H1, we are at 76 million. Now in 2022, the H1, we are at 82 million. The book has consistently grown up by 6 million over 1 year. 76, year end was 80 million, and in H1, we are at 82 million. Now, in spite of, I will come up for a couple of ratios, couple of other numbers in the following slide. In spite of this COVID impact, where the banking and all financing companies, FLCs, were scaring off the NPA numbers would go up. But to tell you a few statistical numbers, that we are maintaining the same level of the NPA what we was in 2019. We are steadily growing, controlling over that. Roughly around 26%, I mean, who have got few numbers from the market, 26% is our NPL percentage. But to bring some lights on that, out of 26 million of 26 million NPL, almost 15 to 18 million NPL is carried forward over as a legacy. So over the last few years, we restricted the slippage of the numbers, during the buckets. That is the strength with the new leadership in place at this moment, and a very good control over the collection process, a daily basis, a weekly basis, as well as a fortnight basis, collection meetings, interaction with the customer, different branches. We able to maintain the restricted the NPL numbers over the years. That's the positive sign, that's the strength what we are here to showcase. Now, taking this receivable finance data to the next, in 2021 H1, our business comprised of retail and corporate. Between corporate was a 60% and retail was around 40%. Now, as we all aware of, and all the banking and financial markets are moving towards the retail segment, we have changed our approach, statistical approach for the business. At 60% we are going for the retail now, and the 40% only in the corporate. We are steady on our approach for onboarding the corporate clients. If it's coming within our risk appetite, we are happy to onboarding the corporates as well as the SMEs. But at this moment, we are very much focused to improve our retail portfolio. Our liability balance, second part of the balance sheet is pretty simple. Our equities, 45 was in 2021, and we are almost 47 million in H1 2022 after declaration of 3% dividend during the year. In the other total liability side, we can see our loan book has been grown up by 3.5 million. That is basically directly proportionate to our increase in our book in the battle asset side, whatever we have seen. Now, allow me to take you through few ratios and few areas where we are really going very steady and very controlled on that number. The leverage. We are the best in FLCs in Oman. The average industry leverage is 2.37%. We are at only 0.9. So we have a potential to go double, even more than that. So this is the area we really strengthen upon. Our leverage is only 0.9. Our bank borrowing to net worth is below 1, 72%. Cost to income ratio. Now, as I was mentioning in the operating cost area, we are investing more into human resource, in digitalization, in technology. So we can see a little bit increase on our cost to income ratio, but we think that we expect over the years this will go down below 50%. But in general, in general, our business makes hover around 50% is the cost to income ratio. Gross NPL ratio, that is the point, 26.1%. Percentage-wise, if we compare with the market, yes, average is a little high. But as I mentioned, this is because of our legacy, our baggage, what we carry. Roughly, our gross book stands around 101 million. 101 million real is a gross book. Our NPA is around 26 million. But out of 26 million, 15 to 18 million carry forward for over the last 4-5 years. And after this pandemic, these last 3 years, our NPS stood at the same level. So that shows the strength of the control not to let any debtors, any finance debtor to slippage to the NPA. And that we'll see to the next numbers, that the LP and ECL coverage ratio. We are close to 80%. Now, on top of this 80%, we have a good amount of collaterals against the loans, against the security, as a security. If I add together that security, it will cross 116%. So these two areas we are very strong at. Even in spite of a lot of challenges we have seen in the market, we are steady to continue having a control over the NPA numbers. That's the strength, and we expect that will improve further in coming days. This is a few numbers in front of you, how entire FLC's market is. This data is available in the CBO. This is extracted from the CBO market. As Mr. Abdulaziz was saying, we having only 9% of the market share in this FLC's market. But in terms of the leverage, we are at 0.9, the best in the FLC's market. Our NPA growth is almost zero, whereas the market leaders, we have seen, H1 numbers, even they have grown over the 20%. So yes, our book size is 101 million, only 9%, but we are very steady on our growth. So now next, I'll welcome if you have any questions, anything, we'll be happy to take those questions.
Please feel free to stay in touch with us, just in case anybody would like to have interaction with us. We're more than happy to meet up with you, whether today or any other day.
Thanks. Thank you so much, United Finance, Mr. Abdulaziz, Mr. Gabkan. Thank you so much. And before we move to Galfar, we'd like to inform you that in the other hall, Oman Cement is starting. And now we move to a short video made by Galfar.
In the dry, arid sands lands of the Gulf region. Through rocky mountains and miles of endless sea, one name has made a difference. Gulfar. Gulfar Engineering and Contracting has been changing landscapes with unflagging passion. Hostile terrain, challenging projects, and the seemingly impossible have yielded to the expertise of the leader. We have delivered technically complex projects in the oil and gas, infrastructure, and civil and utilities sectors in the construction industry. Innovation and change have been a constant feature associated with our growth. Our skills are unparalleled in executing projects with colossal complexities and of unlimited magnitude and value. Challenges motivate us to seek new heights of achievement, and surpassing previous records is a burning passion. Gulfar is the leader in the construction industry. We lay great emphasis on delivering on time, safely, and to quality standards that exceed expectations. Oil tankage facilities, compressor stations, pumping stations, crude stabilization plants, DCS and SCADA control systems. Gulfar is a trusted name in the oil and gas sector. We possess the strength to take on the most daunting of projects, and our client list and project profile bear testimony to this. It is impossible to go far in Oman without crisscrossing a road or bridge that was not built by Gulfar. Projects like the Muscat Expressway stand as legendary examples of moving mountains, building the tallest mechanically stabilized earth walls and the longest tech-span underpasses. Gulfar is synonymous with projects of epic proportions. Gulfar has the capability to transform landscapes and the capacity to build entire cities' infrastructure, complete with roads, bridges, stadia, utilities, airports, and seaports facilities. Our marine construction capabilities are one of the best, with an unmatched wealth of experience in constructing anything from harbors and ports. We have built several desalination plants, storage reservoirs, and transmission and distribution networks. We have constructed several dams for water recharge and flood protection. We have built sewage collection systems, vacuum pumping stations, sewage treatment plants, employing the latest technologies serving entire cities. Power transmission and distribution is yet another area of skill and expertise. Gulfar, where quality, reliability, and excellence are a way of life. A trusted collaborator with a stellar reputation, always with you.
And now we welcome Dr. Hamoud Al-Toubi, CEO of Gulfar Company.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. We are pleased to be here with you today, and we really thank Muscat Exchange for organizing this investor roadshow. And I'm joined by my colleague Mohammed Lihyai, our Chief Financial Officer in the company. So, established in 1972, Gulfar is 50 years journey spanning over 5 decades. and has emerged as a very well-known Omani brand with trusted reputations. Has delivered more than 1,000 projects all over Oman, from the Sandem in the north to Sarfait in the south. Today, you will hardly find an area, a wilayat or a governance that does not have a Galfar fingerprint. In total, as Galfar, we have built more than 4,000 kilometers of roads, highways, with the most complex projects. And in the video, you have seen some of the key milestone roads that were constructed, such as the Muscat Expressway and the Batna Expressway, Package 1, and many of the other roads, like in Jabal Akhdar and in Azz Adam. So today, it will be rare that you will travel from one area to another without coming across a road that was built by Galfar, or without coming across an interchange or a bridge that was built by Galfar. Galfar is known for our involvement in the infrastructure, not only in roads and bridges, but also in other infrastructure projects. Many of the seaports in Oman has been constructed and built by Galfar. Many of the airports as well that were built here in Oman, Galfar had major involvement under the main EBC contractors. Many of the utility grids, be it electricity, be it water, or be it sewer networks, Galfar has also been involved in delivering projects, either at the network or grid level, and at the stations or treatment plants. In the oil and gas industry, Galfar has also been very active and has been a main enabler and partner to the exploration and production industry here in Oman. Our major clients in oil and gas includes BDO, but we are also working with other E&P companies such as Oxy, British Petroleum, Delil, and all the other oil and gas operators. In oil and gas, we have constructed more than 8,000 kilometers of flow lines and pipelines carrying oil and gas from wells to gathering stations to processing facilities and then to the distribution networks and the export networks. Galfar, we pride ourselves to have built a capacity to deliver an annual turnover of $1 billion. Not in today's market condition. That was a couple of years ago when the market was in more favorable conditions. But as we speak today, Galfar is still maintaining a strong grip on the market. Our market share in the construction in Oman is an average between 10 to 15%. So we are still holding a significant market share. Galfar has been big enabler, of course, to creating jobs and employments with a total workforce of more than 17,000 currently deployed into various projects. We are very proud to have also 4,000 Omanis among our workforce. In fact, Galfar is considered one of the largest employer of nationals in the private sector. Our vision, we continue to be preferred partner for development to our clients, and we aspire to do this on a very trusted basis. And though we have delivered so many projects which are standing testimony today in many sectors, however, the financial performance over the past years, as you very well know, has not been that good. This is why in 2020 we have launched our transformation strategy with 6 strategic priorities, with the aim that we continue the Galfar journey on delivering and excelling in the delivery of various projects that we undertake, but also in improving the financial performance of the company and also increase the value creation for our shareholders and stakeholders. Our strategic plan focuses on the 6 strategic priorities you see on the screen here, which we have launched in 2020, and we are continuing, and we are reviewing this strategy every 2 years in order to fine-tune it and evolve it as we go on. Restructuring and capability. It was clear that there is a big need to take a holistic look at the organization and decide what units, what subsidiaries, what associated companies that we need to continue, and what other businesses that we need to close down or we exit. We also looked at the organization, and we were able to actually achieve more than 30% reduction in our fixed overhead costs over the last 2 years, which was one of the big contributors to the improved financial performance. After many years of declared annual losses, in 2021 we have posted 4.6 million of net profit. And in 2022, for our half-year financial, we have also posted positive return. Our financial statements and financial results are also published in the stock exchange. Galfar is really a project delivery engine. This is what we do. We deliver projects, we drive projects, we like to build things in the various sectors and different types of projects. So it is paramount that we also excel in delivering of these projects. This is why the second strategic priority is how do we improve our project delivery. We understand that clients want projects delivered on time, on budget. We want to partner with our clients so that their project get delivered on time. And we want also to partner not only in executing, but really on maximizing the value of our clients in their projects. Financial and liquidity. Without having healthy financial and liquidity position, it's difficult for any organization to survive and to grow. This is why we've also decided we will define strategic objectives to transform the financial and liquidity position of the company, and there has been good progress in this arena as well. Technology and innovation. As Galfar, the type of industry we are in is dominated by conventional methods, construction. You see that roads are being constructed today almost the same way they are being constructed tens of years ago. Buildings are also being constructed in the same way. So Galfar has been a leader in the conventional construction, but we look forward as there are emerging technologies brought by Fourth Industrial Revolution, the advances in artificial intelligence, robotics, Internet of Things, and so on. We would like to be a leader in bringing in and adopting latest technologies in construction projects in Oman. And for that, we have already started various pilots. You probably heard or seen somewhere in the news that Galfar got involved in the first 3D printed building for BDO here in Oman. And our approach for that is that we want to R&D and develop the concrete ink that is used for 3D printing, to have it developed in country using Omani resources, Omani talents, Omani materials, and we have succeeded on that, and the building is standing now at BDO Gate 2, a small kushk that has been 3D printed. So we are really focusing on the adoption of technology in order to improve the way we are executing various construction projects and delivering them. And diversification, we view that as an enabler for growth, and we want to, while we continue conventional contracting business and projects, we want to diversify our business into non-conventional contracting. And in another slide, I probably have more details for you on this. But we are not only looking at the diversification at the type of projects we take. We are already fairly diversified in the sectors we serve and deliver a project for, but we also want to diversify in the type of projects we do. Conventional versus now, people talk about PBB projects, EBC projects, D-boom projects, projects that requires different management models and financial models. Brand reputation is one thing that also we are focusing on our transformation strategy. in the past, there might have been some, bad news associated also with Gelfar. We have, but the good news and the positive contributions of the company are far more or far superior, to some of the bad news that happened in the past. This is why we put strategic focus on brand reputation to position Gelfar and capitalize on the brand, not only as a trusted, one of the most capable Omani contracting companies, but as an ICV creator, to be seen as an ICV creator, in-country value creator for the country, inshallah. So this is a high-level overview of our strategic plan, which is also marking our transformation strategy and the turnaround efforts that have been happening over the last 2 years in the company. If we look at Gelfar strength, the company enjoys various strengths, be it in its resource space. Gelfar, like we said, have ability to mobilize tens of thousands of workforces required for different types of mega projects. But we also have strength in our assets and fleets and machinery. We as Gelfar own and operate more than 4,500 units of heavy machineries and various equipments, excavators, dozers, heavy trucks. We maintain one of the largest vehicle or heavy machinery workshops in the country, second after the Ministry of Defense. And this is our main facility here in Al Khoud, which now we are transferring to the Khazain economic city. As well, we as Gelfar maintain a high track record in safety and quality performance. We deliver every year tens of millions of man hours. We drive every year tens of millions of kilometers. And yet, we are able to maintain one of the lowest lost time incident frequencies compared to our peers and in the industries and sectors. This stems, of course, from the solid quality and HSC management systems that the company is maintaining and implementing. Gelfar strengths also goes, of course, to our access to financing and the healthy relationship that Gelfar enjoys with the financial institutions in the country, banks, finance companies, regional as well. We have been enjoying healthy banking relationships, and it continued, and we are continuing to build on that in order to facilitate the execution of the new project that we have announced recently and taking on. We have also wide access to the local supply chain and also to the outreach to the overseas supply chains for sourcing required machinery, materials, and equipment that we need for our projects. And we invest a lot in supporting the local supply chain. Today, as Gelfar, we have more than 1,500 local companies registered with us, and we do business with them. After the restructuring of Gelfar, we've ended up with 4 business divisions, and which are basically, as you see in the screen, Energy and Industry, our business division, which focuses on managing and delivery of projects, not only in the oil and gas, but also in the wider energy sector. As the market is shifting from also conventional energy sources to non-conventional renewable alternative energy sources, we as Gelfar adapting and changing ourselves to align with the new market requirements. And you will see that most of our, this structure or the new structure of the organization is really shaped to support or to align with the Oman 2040 visions for diversifications. Renewable is part of Oman 2040 objectives. It's also part of our new organization as Gelfar. Industry and manufacturing is part of 2040 vision, is also part. Who's going to build the manufacturing units and all those industrial that needs to come? We believe and we hope that Gelfar will have a large stake on that as well. Our civil and environment continues to execute projects in the building sides, and also diversifying into environmental projects. We have already started and engaged in sewage project or sewage treatment plants networks, but we are looking forward to go after other environmental projects, the like of projects being announced by PIA and other environmental organizations. Infrastructure is a Galfar core business, and we will continue to be active in infrastructure projects, be it in the roads or ports or other infrastructure utilities. But in the infrastructure, we are not only looking at constructing. As we've said now, we are looking at, constructing in the conventional way, but how do we shape Galfar to become an operator, a maintainer of these projects, to enter into long-term arrangements with various clients for operation and maintenance of various infrastructure projects. This is also one of our strategic focus areas. And the fourth business division really represents our investments in our associated and subsidiary companies. Currently, and after the restructuring, we are left with 3 subsidiaries. One is Aspire Ready-Mix, which is specialized in ready-mix products. One is Aspire Projects, which specializes in small and specialized scope of works for big projects. And the third one is Al Khalij, which we are trying to develop to become Galfar Arm and Logistics, to diversify. Looking at our turnover forecast, and we see that over the last 3 years there has been a decline, and that's mainly attributed to the COVID-19 pandemic, but also the reduced expenditures in the development projects in the country. However, moving forward, we are planning to maintain Galfar at more than 200 million annual turnover. And we believe this is doable because as of today, we as Galfar, we carry $500 million Omani Riyal worth of order book in hand. That's $1.3 billion worth of jobs in hand. And we also have identified an addressable market over the last 3 years, which is, with screened opportunities worth 2 billion Omani Riyals of opportunities coming up in the next 3 years. We as Galfar, maintaining the same market share, 10 to 15%, we are aspiring to acquire 300 million Riyal worth of new jobs every year to fuel our pipeline of projects and our future growth, inshallah. Diversification is an important enabler to our future sustainability and growth. And while we will continue, of course, grabbing and excelling in delivering the conventional contracting projects, we have also started diversifying into, oil and gas. There has been a lot of talk about de-boom projects in oil and gas, but also in the EPC type of project. When we look today, who is the qualified Omani EPC contractor out there who is able to take the mega projects, the likes in Doqom, etc.? Probably none of the local Omani contractors are at that level. But when we look at Galfar, we feel we only need a little bit of skill in order to reach that level and be able to execute this type of mega projects as well. And we have done comprehensive gap analysis to see what is required for us to go from this level to that level. So we are looking at de-boom projects, EPC project within oil and gas as a diversification stream. We are also looking at renewables, and we have already identified several opportunities that we are working on. As the country wants to diversify its electricity or power sources into renewables, they want to achieve 30% renewable energy by 2040. Who's going to build all of those renewable plants? They will need a capable Omani contractor. Galfar is very well positioned to take on such jobs rather than bringing contractors from outside. We have the local capability that we can adapt what we have and build on our expertise and technical strength to do that. BBB projects in various infrastructure like ports. We are currently discussing several opportunities on ports, in roads, even in civil like school, the 42 schools BBB project, one of the first project expected to be kicked off by the government. And Galfar is one of the shortlisted qualified companies for that project. So we will continue to go after PPP projects with stronger base, more keenness, because we believe that this will offer longer term, contracts to the company. So conventional construction project, you talk about 2-3 years project. So you are always on the hunt to find the next new project. So when you finish this one, you start the next new job. So we want also to get involved in longer term contracts, 10-year plus, 15-year plus contracts to provide sustainability for the company. Technology and innovations, I've briefly mentioned about this earlier. We are really looking into this to diversify Galfar business, and we have scoped down various technologies, and we have started piloting some of those technologies in our existing projects. And diversification by expanding into the regional market. Currently, Galfar is looking at some of the regional markets, such as the Saudi market. We are exploring opportunity there. With the forecasted development project in Saudi, there is an opportunities worth $1 trillion of investments. Yeah? So we as Galfar looking to have a market share of that, and we've already, today actually, we are participating in the Saudi Infrastructure Expo to start showcasing Galfar capabilities and facilitate our entry into that Saudi market after these projects. This is some of the regional markets that we are trying to consider, because our focus the last 3 years was really to minimize overseas exposure and focus in-house, in-country, in order to regain financial strength, so that when we go into overseas markets, we go with technical and financial strengths. Last slide is our market share price. It's the trend, I think, speaks for itself, and we really thank, the audience for having the trust, to propel Galfar market share price, which has almost quadrupled, over the last 2 years, from less than 50 Beza today to being traded at 160 Beza. So there has been a 4 times increase in our market share price, which we are proud of, and we thank, the shareholders and audience for the confidence on Galfar shares. That's my last slide, and if any question, I would like also to invite my CFO to the stage. Mohammed, can you join me? Thank you. Thank you. Happy to take your questions. Allah khalik. Yes? There is a mic. Maybe you can take this.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmood, for the presentation. It was very insightful. This is Bishan Bhalla from Vision Asset Management. To start off, just wanted to congratulate the company on its turnaround. There have been great sort of insights. Receivables have come down. You've seen the debt come down. One of the things that impressed us the most is the outstanding receivables, which stood at 40-odd million as of December, have now currently stand at 20 million. This is the certified overdue receivables. So the first question is the trend on the balance 20 million? How do you see that going forward? Do you see some movement in that being cleared off at the earliest?
Thank you for your questions, and indeed there has been very positive progress in collecting our long outstanding receivables. And for the remaining balances that you have mentioned, we are hopeful within 6-8 months we would clear those outstanding also receivables and have them collected. And of course this requires continuous follow-up and close follow-up with the clients. Our outstanding receivables are mostly related to transportation projects, which requires to complete some formalities in order to release the payment for Galfar. But there is a lot of support from the involved ministries and the authorities, and they're being very helpful to also support progress those receivables, and we are expecting it, yes, it will be, I hope within 6 months, not more than that, not more than 6 months.
Great.
Right.
You know, one of the things that you had mentioned in the company report as of June was cash flow constraint, you know, for being a reason for the lower revenue. With sort of the receivables improvement that we've seen, does that enable the company to then go ahead and bid for more projects and more sort of diversify its revenue stream? Is that the way to look at it?
Definitely it does, because with these outstanding receivables also, you know, there is ECL provisions that we keep in our books. You know, the moment we collect these outstanding receivables, we are able to reverse those ECL provisions, which will also impact our, profit account for the year. It gives us the liquidity also that we need. It improves our, so that we are able to pay back some of the debts associated with these receivables, and that gives us an improved debt equity gearing ratio, which allows us to, gives us more flexibility or ability to raise financing for new projects that we go after. So definitely it's an enabler for us to pursue and get more projects.
That's good to hear.
You want to add something?
You mentioned one of the sectors as, sorry.
Yeah, just would like to add a few things in terms of financial improvements. Yes, there was substantial improvements. If we look at the receivables, outstanding days, for example, it was like something 350 days in 2020 and before, but now has been reduced to 160 days. That substantial reductions means there's better management of the receivables and the cash flow. Similar way of the payables days has been reduced from somewhere 300 to less than 150 days. And that's start to close the gap. So that's reflected in our financial in terms of the debts that we have. It has been reduced from somewhere 100 million to 40 million approximately. And that's good achievements for the company. So we are able to finance, as we'll have self-finance or financing some of the projects from our internal cash flow.
Excellent. You mentioned...
excuse me, just thank you so much for insightful questions. We will give a chance for the other.
Yep.
So we can. Who has other questions? Because I saw some of us. Okay.
That table there.
Yeah. Please.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام.
بتكلم بالعربي. سؤال يخص المؤسسات الصغيرة. إيش دور الشركة في دعم سلسلة التوريد للإسمي بشكل عام؟
شكرا على السؤال، وهذا واحدة من طبعا الأشياء اللي الشركة تهتم فيها بشكل كبير. وعملنا إحصائية من كم يوم توضح أنه 95% من مشتريات الشركة كانت عن طريق سلسلة التوريد المحلية. احنا كجلفار اليوم عندنا 1500 شركة محلية اللي تتضمن طبعا شركات صغيرة ومتوسطة زي الموردين ولا مقدمين خدمات، والشركة بصورة سنوية تقريبا بين 60 إلى 80 مليون ريال ويشيو as purchase orders ولا work orders للشركات والموردين المحليين في السلطنة as well. If you are not registered with us, you are welcome to register.
I'm from Authority for Small and Medium Enterprises.
أهلا
We have ICP department, and I'm from investment department, which we are looking for investor to start up. For that reason, I'm asking about the supply chain.
Yes, I know we have actually also a specific program for dealing with SMEs and local startups. So you can always advise them to approach us, and we will be happy to take on their hands and support.
Okay, so we will invite them to register at your platform. If there is any condition or any rules they should follow to register at your platform?
Yes, they have to register as an approved vendor for Galfar, and specifying the category of services they are providing. And we do, working with our clients, ring fence, certain value of the projects and contracts for SMEs and other local companies.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaykum salam.
My name is Wasim. First of all, I would like to thank you about the presentation. You are talking about the order book around 500 million, and also you are talking about the Saudi Arabia market, and also you are talking about the price of the share itself. It's coming from the 50 paisa to 160 paisa. Finally, we are as an investor, what you will give us by the end of the year? Because the always problem with Jalfar, with an investor, there is no dividends at all. If you are now the main player in the market, there is no competition at all, I think. So I think your project should be with very good margin, and also this one should be reflected in the bottom line. And also the investor, he has the right also to see something by the end of the year. So what you will give us by the end of the year? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wasim. And of course, that's a very reasonable and fair question. And by going through the transformation strategy, like I said, we wanted to address many things. One of them is the financial performance. If the company is not able to turn positive bottom line at the end of the year and build on returned earnings, it will not be able to pay dividends, to the shareholders. And that's one of our objectives that we want to achieve by implementing the transformation strategy. But as you know, the construction industry has gone through very difficult times. It was already in a dire situation before the pandemic, and then after the pandemic, it's like added salt and pepper to an open wound already. We know and heard about what happened to some of the regional players in the construction industry. However, we believe now there are more opportunities. Like you said, there has been corrections in the market. Competition was stiff and extremely stiff. Many players, who probably did not have solid or as solid foundation as Galfar, have exited the market now. So now we look forward as Galfar, yes, and also with the higher promised expenditure by the government on development projects, we as Galfar expect that we will be able, to bag in more additional jobs. And this will definitely fuel our bottom line, coupled with the excellence in project delivery. Because it's not only about winning the project, but it's about, like you rightly said, delivering a positive bottom line from that project, which then will enable you to pay some dividends to the shareholders. That's something what we are focusing on, that is core to our transformation strategy. And we hope that we will, cover the whatever accumulated losses, residual in our balance sheets, then we can move into dividend distributions. Please.
Yes, I can add to that. As a part of the transformations strategy of Jalfar, during 2021, the management has designed a cost leadership strategy, which has been implemented. So that's why could see it turn around to a positive during 2021. Further, we have revised all the program and all the initiatives that we have taken in the past, and we are capitalizing on them, and we have already designed that cost leadership program. Hopefully, it will work definitely, and that will improve even the cash flow health of the company, and as well as the cost management of the company, which will have a return on the bottom line, a positive return.
Any more questions? Let's wait until year end when we complete the financial results. But as you are very well aware, if you are looking at Galfar financial statements, we are still carrying accumulated losses from the past, which of course we have to clear those before we become in a position where we could consider, dividend distribution. But I assure you, it is primary focus of Galfar Board, of Galfar Executive Management, and we are, working very hard to achieve that. We understand that our shareholders have been very patient with Galfar over the many years. And we thank you for that, and we urge you to be a little bit. But the good news now, you've seen that the share prices, has improved also significantly, and hopefully that will continue. Yes. Yes. And there are a lot of positive indications. There are a lot of positive indications for the company. Some of the colleagues here is already highlighted about improvement in outstanding receivables, improvements on debt reductions, companies turning positive bottom lines. So there are, and the company still acquiring big projects and increasing its market share. So there are a lot of positive indications, and the company has solid plans for diversifications and continuing efficiency building and project delivery excellence. A lot of positive indications that we think should continue to propel Galfar share prices, inshallah.
Okay. For the shortage of time, we have to end the Q&A sessions. Thank you so much, Dr. Mahmoud.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Kindly note that in the other hall, we're having discussion for FDO, Fishery Development Oman. And now we'd like to welcome Mr. Saeed Ahmed Safrar, CEO of Oman Investment and Finance.
السلام عليكم. صبحكم الله مساكم بالخير إن شاء الله جميع. Good afternoon to everybody. I need to make sure that every one of you is having or will download our own application, Khidma application. Then we make sure that you are on the same page. Can I see hands? Who is? And I have potential customers then to. Well, يعطيكم العافية. First of all, thank you very much. جزاك الله خير. شكرا على التقديم. And thanks to Muscat Exchange for making this happening. I think it's a good opportunity for the investors as well as the business owners to meet, discuss, and talk about what happened, what probably will happen within the boundaries of disclosures. I'm glad to represent my team. They are around the table here. So I'll take you through a quick presentations. Please bear with me. I will just give an overview of OIC. How to use this in فضلك ساعدني. The green one? Okay. It's also green by the way. The company established in 1979. That is about 43 years back. We have today 857 employees. Brothers and sisters, I would call them, colleagues, with amortization ratio of 94%. We have 68 branches across the country. In numbers, we are literally more than some banks or some financial institutions with the number of presence. The major shareholders, as you can see in this quick buy, the majority is with DEDIC. This is Dhofar International Development Company, and 12% with Oman Investment Authority, 7% with Muscat Overseas Group, and the rest is, in fact, owned by more than 2,000 shareholders. We are one of the most liquidated shares in the Muscat Exchange so far. Our board members, we have very solid board members from different sectors. Only 3 out of the 9 are, I would call them related party or non-independent in the new sense of independency, but we have people from different sectors. We have lawyers, we have Ahmed Al-Abri, ex-banker, we have Sheikh Khit from banking sector, we have Mr. Mohammed and Ahmed from the oil and gas industry. We have a very, very solid, strong, independent board members that helped us as a management to achieve our own targets and see the future. Now the management, We are few, three of them are around, three of them are around here, others are looking after the business back home in the office. The entire team joined the company after 2014 onward. Of course, the work that we achieved today is not only the work of the people who are appearing in the picture, it was literally an excellent work for previous people, whether from the board perspective or from the management. Before we go to the principles, people usually get confused between OIFC, OIF, OIC. You know, all of us are in investment arena, and many people see this company, OIFC, as a company that deals with things like what happened yesterday. Disconnection, reconnection, not paying bill, not reflecting the bill in the accounts. But the company is literally doing much, much more than this. If you look into the company structure, it's divided into operation part, I would call it, and investment part. In the operation, we are in fact engaged with these big names appearing in the screen, whether the government institution, electricity and water, telecom, and services like insurance. But we basically have 69 different agreements. Sometimes we do more than 3 agreements with the same principle. And we found ourselves a company that doesn't have a proper, well, I wouldn't say identity, but if somebody asks me, what actually OIFC doing? Is it a finance company? No, we are not a finance company because you don't have a CPO license. Okay, do you produce some products? Do you provide solutions? Do you sell electricity, like generating or transmitting or even distributing? No. We position ourselves in the previous times as doing work for others. Then we found out that others became smarter. They look for a cheaper, easier, and straightforward dealing with the clients. So now we have to work backward and see what do we need to do to sustain our position and to gain the trust of both parties, the consumers and the principals. The consumers would like to have some smart, easy, good service. The principals want somebody to deliver at a cheap or cheaper than providing the service themselves. That was hard, seriously, really hard. First of all, to get this list of names, trusting you to represent them and talk on their behalf and collect their money and meet their customers was difficult. It needed big efforts to convince them that we are up to this. Consumers trust. Are they the right people that will take our money to make sure that our power will not disconnect it tomorrow, or our telephone will not be part, or our own subscription to PASI, will it be going to a penalty? Finally, we did get the trust from both parties. So we basically do a middleman in a different, better way to serve both sides. Cheaper and better and faster and secured for principals, easy, quick, safe for consumers. Our investment arm, that is from the operation perspective. In the operation, we have Sohar International. We own 15.42%. This investment happened quite a long time before even the team joining the company. We were supporting the bank in all of the right issues. By the way, the coming one that is ongoing right now is the 3rd right issue, and we participate fully in the 3 right issues. FinCorp, we own close to 22%, and then we have 2 associates. We started the exchange company called Wasal Exchange. From scratch, we get a license, then we built it ourselves with different model. We have 21 branches, and the company start making profit the 3rd year in a row. Hopefully, very soon, we will also be able to get some money out of this business. Then we have Afaq, a company works in 33 kV workstations. We bought this company 2015-16 when the government used to spend close to 500, 600 billion riyals in the sector, but then there was a reduction and the economic issue, etc. So the business here is not doing that much good. Well, then after that we thought, fine, you are doing the meter readings, you are issuing the bills, you are delivering the bills, you are collecting the money, and then what else? Anybody can register with Minister of Commerce, start next day morning a small office, and then he can cut the price into 75% less and do the collection and do this work. So we thought to shift our own model rather than focusing on principle, so a business to business or business to government model, to a business to consumer. So now we want the end users to convince their own principles that this is the best to deal with. We respect you, we'll pledge to pay you our bills, whatever committed to, but we want to do it through the OFC. So we create different options for different people, for different locations, for different, I would say, education capabilities to use technology, and we create this platform. We have 54 payment machines, and in the last, for example, 3 years, we see a decline. Nobody wants to go into the heat, park his car, walk, go to a payment machine, and pay the money. Beside that, all the machines in Oman are accepting now bills. Telecom companies, banks, and everybody. We have kiosks in malls also to meet the purpose. If somebody wanted to come and meet someone, and people usually trust to see somebody talk about their bills, etc. And we have 4 in major areas, 3 in Muscat and 1 in Batna, Sahar. 64 branches, so these 2 contains the 68, and the most important, of course, in the branch we have more than 250 point of sales, POS. The most important thing, we thought people now are not, even before the corona, I would say, changing life of people, 2 years, that happened that they changed everything in our lives, including our own 6-year-old kids. We started thinking about having a master app in 2015, and we introduced Khidma app. I will share with you some statistics later on. That was probably the time where the board of directors asked me, we are seen and old-fashioned with broken chairs in some of our offices, and many people doesn't like how we look like, but they trust us. So what we need to do, we did the app. And it was either, if we don't make the app works, we need to find other job to invest our money in. So we know that we will die. Luckily, it was a appropriate decision, I think, made by us. Today we have millions of transactions, hundreds of millions of money collected through the technology applications. Then, after moving from a business to business, business to government concept, we moved to the consumers. We decided also to change our own model from an operating manned business into a more of technology enablers. Some people get surprised. What? I see. What technology you are talking about? You are having, stamping the papers every day morning. But we are going to make ourselves the technology enablers, because that's what the time required right now. The list, I don't want to go through all of them, but this is the list of improvement. 2015, we literally have about 30 point of sales and nothing else. Even our own payment machines used to accept only cash. That is in 2015. Today, I'll share with you the percentage. More than 75% of our own payments are done through sort of technology payments. People doesn't want to go and waste their own time queuing in the branches. These are the numbers. And I don't want to go back where I will show you the crazy increase. 2018, just 2 years before the pandemic, we were at these numbers of transactions, the percentage of the transaction numbers, electronic versus manual. Today, we are in the first half of the year. We are at 75% people paying through our own app, WIP, point of sales, payment machines, and banks. Only 24%-ish, 25% are still coming to our branches to issue checks or to pay cash. Well, the question will come, how about your people? How about people working in branches? Some of those people are linked to some contracts, and some others, we will find other jobs, because we are now dealing with post office, we are dealing with insurance companies, We are dealing with entertainment companies. Those people will be converted. We are buying bad debts from the telecom companies. Those people will be converted to do some other activities to improve the company's profitability and, of course, sustain their own jobs. This is again to prove that moving from 39% depending on the utility operations to 23% without seeing a big jump in the revenues. I mean, the revenues are still remaining at literally the same amount, but we are shifting more into the technology payment. Now I'll come to the first half comparison of the last 4 years. This is the beside the growth parent and the group companies. Of course, the blue is the group, and the one is OFC as a standalone. We didn't see a massive increase in the top lines, but we expect to sustain. We worked on, we employ a company on a lean program that helped us in reducing costs and making operations much smarter and cheaper. Without compromising on our own people, jobs, or pays, or whatever. We are having a national program to improve and train our own people for the future because we consider them the resource number one. This is the associates. We are very much linked to Sahara International. Literally, we go up and we go down from a profitability perspective because we consider Sahara International as an associate. And we can see the trend according to the bank's performance, their own contribution to our own profitability. And this is the last, literally the last paper on the profitability trend, 18 to 22. We are above our own targets. We are above our own last year performance. We hope this to continue. And just to mention, with some other ratios, we are a cash dividend payer for the last 9 years. Even throughout difficult days, we used to, okay, sometimes we need to borrow a little money to add it to whatever we can gain, but we are usually a company that pay out dividend, and we never increase our own capital for the sake of free shares since at least 2014 onward. Just back to this, again, few ratios from 2018 to 2022. The price goes from 80% to 130%. We are today at 129 basis. This is average, literally close to our own book, the book value. Average return on equity is from 9 to 11%. Dividend yield is 6.8 to 8.6. And we are among the top very few companies with the share turnover in the market. So it's easy to buy, easy to sell, and easy to sell is a number one obstacle I would see in the Muscat exchange. People get a little bit worried. If I buy a share and there is no buyer, how would I invest in a company? Just a small statistics. I put ourselves, of course, forget about the size because no way to compare ourselves to Bank Muscat, but I'm talking about some ratios where we put Bank Muscat, Ahli Bank, Omantel, Uridu, Dhafar Insurance, and Aman Vest, Al Anwar. Just to show the few indicators, like the price to book value, we are among the best. I'm talking about 2021. And we are in average with them in 2020. Again, I'm just trying to prove that it's not a 1 year sudden numbers. We were always there. If you look into the dividend paid, there is also a percentage every year with a yield of more than 6.5% over the 3 years. And return on equity, traded volume, and the number of shares volume, the turnover. I think this is few strengths that we can see. OFC is one of the drivers of the market movement. Yes, the capital is small. We are only 23.7 million riyals. In the last 8 years, we paid 22.4 million cash dividend to our own shareholders. But that was slightly on the cost of meeting our own debt obligations. But we don't have any challenge in this. Everything is under control. We manage our own cash flow. We pay our own interest on time. We meet our own obligation towards banks on time. And we have an excellent financial support that's supporting us well we need. The future outlook, probably the words here are very much wider. But we have lots of dreams. We want to make sure that we have diversification for the sake of making sure that the shareholders are safe and they are not depending on one resource of revenues. We want to sustain a growth. We don't want to have ups and downs. The margins need to be worked at from two aspects. One from the pricing perspective, the second one from reducing the cost and manage the cost without compromising on the quality or the customer experience. The fourth one is to transform operation to convert as much as we can do in the automations. For example, a few years back, our own reconciliation is about 40%. Now we are at 95%. It is a big challenge because we do 740,000 financial transactions every month. Every month, again, 740,000 financial transactions every month. Forget about inquiries, forget about suppliers, forget about vendors, forget about salaries. I'm talking about meeting, working with our own customers, and this without an issue, I would say, luckily. Because if there is an issue, social media talks. Nobody hides these days. So we were lucky that we have an excellent technology team that runs the transaction in appropriate way, and strong finance team that also look after the reconciliation and making sure that everybody gets his own whatever he paid for. Then the era of digitals, the era of technology. In the Oman Vision 2040, this is one of the major elements that they want the entire economy to be driven through a digital platform. Central Bank of Oman is driving all the institutions to make sure that they use appropriate digital, safe digital platform payments. And Minister of Commerce recently issued a decision that all entire small institutions, not only big ones, to use point of sales and different method of electronic payments. And we are committed to be a major player in this. All the above will never work without having the right people. We are a small team at that level. We are not the top oil and gas or the top banking, highly paid people, but we love what we do. We come with the inspiration, with a decision to make a change, with a sort of commitment to our own consumers, plus our own principles to deliver what we promise to do. And of course, exploring new investment opportunities, and that could be either acquire or merge, or probably split, or get some of our businesses to the local, regional, and probably international. We have lots of dreams. Probably very, very soon we will hear excellent news, inshallah. So that's it. I'm sorry to make the presentation boring and long, but I'm proud of what we do. I think the big change, transformation, again, back to Dr. and his team, is the word that everybody is using right now, but the one who shows the right trends. Today we have an application that there are an average of 400 downloads in every single day. We have more than 710,000 downloads, and we have an average of 300,000 in the app. I'm talking about the app today. 300,000 with this e-commerce transactions every day. So thank you for trusting us, and thanks for those who are having our own application, and the rest, please just try. You may love it. يعطيكم العافية ومشكورين. جزاكم الله خير. تفضلوا questions. إن شاء الله ماشي. لا أمزح والله. أهلا وسهلا بكم. بالعكس أتشرف. I know it's lunch time. Probably my presentation is the right time. Everybody's hungry and they want to leave the room as quick as possible. But please feel free. I'm glad to answer any question.
نحسب. تفضل دكتور، تفضل حياك. في مايك ثاني يمكن هذا تفضل.
أرقم عن الغداء يعني. But when I look at the principles that you are trying to connect with the consumers, the like of the electricity provider, telecom provider, etc., we see that also all of them are developing their own apps for collecting the payments, the bills, etc. How do you see that as a risk, as a threat to OFC or not?
سؤال صح. They are all stronger and have deep pockets than us, by the way. But the client will decide. The consumer will decide. I'm not trying to say that our own app is much better, but it's the only app that where you can store everything, and with one click, one debit, you will get a consolidated payment, very well organized, real time, and you have no hassle. So if you go to each individual single company, you have to go probably to 7, 8 service providers. If you go to the police, to the insurance, to the electricity, to the the 3 or 4 telecom providers, you will need to visit too many websites or applications. They have very good apps, very good systems or e-commerce platforms. But people became very lazy. They don't want to do too much, honestly speaking. We don't have any reward systems. We don't say we'll give you points or we'll give you ice cream or go to cinema. Everybody can afford to do this right now. But we have something that you can do while you are talking on the phone, finish your bills in a second. You get confirmation from the electricity, from the water, from the telecom, from the insurance, at the same time while you are talking, because it's a real time with all the service providers. I think the uniqueness here is the one place for all. And the only one word we use to talk while talking about this, we think customers. We put ourselves always as customers. I go to أدفع فواتير قبل. I go to ask for a khidma, or I go for. What is the best way? How can I, sorry to say the word, make the end users lazier? How to make sure that his time is used for better things than spending it in things that can be done easily. There are other people that provide the same service, not only from the service providers, but I think we are by far leading in numbers and values. We have the same challenges, Victor, of the collections, because we collect close to 600, above 600 million riyal every month for those people. So that is giving us about 700 million Oman riyals annually. And sometimes you do business and you have to wait. We reduced our own DCOs also from 250 to 60 to 70 days. Because I know that the 3 years back the government was not having too much money to pay anyway. Now I think they are helping and supporting all these sectors to get their money in time. We are seeing that this is the future where make people lazier. I hope to add more services, maybe other government institutions, maybe schools, maybe universities, other services. And there is something that I didn't highlight it here, and this is probably an invitation for you guys. We do also an aggregating service for the companies, like, for example, Gulfar. They have sites, they have mobiles, they have trucks, they have faxes, they have servers. We can give them one file. They just list one time their own bills, and we issue them one bill, and they can pay us later, and we pay on their behalf. This is coming very soon to serve the business sector. So this is an invitation for anybody in the room. If anybody is interested, please let us know. جزاكم الله خير. شكرا أحسنتوا. Enjoy the lunch. الله يحفظكم إن شاء الله.
Thank you so much, Mr. Saeed, CEO of OIFC. Now we'll have a 30-minute lunch break, then we'll come back for the rest of the discussions. Thank you so much.